Generative AI well, it's transforming so many industries, right? But the big question is, how do we leverage its immense power in our businesses, without stumbling into the common traps that can just derail projects?
That really is the challenge many leaders are facing today. It's everywhere.
Absolutely. So on this deep dive, we're going to cut through some of that noise. We want to reveal a really disciplined, strategic approach. It's called Structured Modeling Proof of Concept, or SM-POC.
Right.
And this isn't just about, plugging in AI. It's about making smarter, faster decisions, minimizing risk, and gaining critical insights. Sometimes surprising insights, even if a project doesn't immediately, quote-unquote, succeed like you first thought.
Exactly. The learning itself is valuable.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding how to really innovate effectively with AI.
Right.
So yeah, let's unpack this methodology. We all hear the term proof of concept, right? POC. Especially now with the explosion of generative AI.
It's everywhere.
Generally, it's understood as like a small-scale, short-term trial, just to see if a new technology or maybe an idea actually works.
Yeah.
But what makes SM-POC different? What's the unique spin here?
Well, what's fascinating about SM-POC, I think, is how it reframes that traditional POC. So a general POC often tries to validate both things at once, right? The technology and the business idea.
Okay.
SM-POC, it prioritizes validating the idea first. That's the key shift. The technology validation, well, we found that becomes more of a continuous, iterative process. It sort of unfolds as you work towards a complete system.
Interesting.
And when we talk about modeling here, in this context, it's really crucial to understand we're not talking about building AI models ourselves.
Right.
Instead, it's about systematically diagramming and sharing the meaningful structures of your business operations and the data involved, making it visible.
That's a powerful distinction. Separating the business idea validation from the tech validation. So where does generative AI fit into this picture then? Is it just the tool you're testing, or does it actively help you explore and refine those initial business ideas too?
It actually plays a dual role, which is a key part of its power within SM-POC. Generative AI is certainly the technology being tested, yeah. But it's also a dynamic, almost creative force that helps you validate your ideas, often in real time. It kind of acts as both the student, learning what you need it to do, and the teacher, quickly showing you what's possible or maybe revealing areas where you need to refine your thinking.
Like AI is both the subject and the assistant in the experiment.
In a way, yes. That's a good way to put it. So when we dive into the practical steps of structured modeling, it typically starts with defining the business model.
Okay.
This involved creating things like business flow diagrams, maybe use case diagrams. These really clarify precisely what work is being done, for what purpose, and crucially, where generative AI fits into that process.
Right, mapping it out.
Exactly. Then from there, you move to the system model. This means deepening those use cases and, really importantly, creating data structure diagrams.
Data structure. Right.
And these diagrams, they largely follow established standards like Unified Modeling Language, UML.
Why does that matter for someone, looking for a shortcut? Does using UML help?
Oh, definitely. Because it means consistent communication, less ambiguity between teams, faster iteration. All that is crucial when you're trying to move quickly with these things.
Got it. And enabling this kind of rapid iteration, I understand there's this set of tools that really supercharge the process. You call it the 3P set from Fusion AI's task-oriented approach. What are these core components that make the prototyping so fast?
Right, the 3P set. First, you have the generative AI itself. And crucially, it leverages robust pre-packaged services. Think like OpenAI's Assistance API.
Okay, so you're not building the LLM from scratch.
Exactly. The beauty there is that these services handle a lot of the underlying complexity. It allows for truly rapid experimentation without needing, deep coding expertise right away.
Makes sense.
Then there's the TaskBot. It's essentially a chat tool. It might look similar to GPTs, maybe, but there's a key difference.
Oh, what's that?
That difference is its constant connection to the third piece, a task management system. Something like Redmine, for example.
So the chatbot talks directly to the project management tool.
Constantly connected. And this tight integration means, for simpler cases anyway, minimal development might be required, which allows for incredibly rapid POCs. You can stand something up very quickly.
Okay, that sounds powerful. To make this methodology really, tangible, let's explore a real-world example. I know this deep dive uses a sort of pre-existing starting point model, right?
Yeah.
Based on a demo.
That's right.
We're a virtual company PQR Inc., had already used generative AI successfully to automate sending Scout emails to job applicants.
Yes, the original automated Scout email process, it was quite effective, actually, for its initial goal. But then came the new challenge, a more ambitious one, to evolve that process to attract even better applicants, really up the quality.
Okay, how?
The specific goal was to automatically include planned multi-department interviews right in the Scout email, based on the applicant's specific aptitude.
Ah, so personalize it based on their skills.
Exactly. The idea was this would signal the company's high expectations right from the start. It encourages applicants to prepare more thoroughly, shows the company is serious, and ultimately makes the company seem more appealing.
Okay, I see. So with this new, more complex goal,
Yeah.
how did that impact PQR Inc.'s existing setup? Did they have to, scrap everything and start over, or could they build on what they had?
Oh, they could definitely build on it. That's part of the point of the modeling. The existing business flow, it had to be adapted, of course. So while the overall shape of the diagram, the flow, remained pretty much the same, the task name itself changed from just Scout mail creation to something like aptitude assessment and Scout mail creation.
Okay, reflecting the new complexity.
Precisely. And critically, the use case diagram now introduced a new stage. It had an AI assistant for interview department decision working alongside the existing AI assistant that was already doing the email creation.
Got it. So 2 AI roles now.
Yes.
This is where that iterative nature of SM-POC really comes into play, I imagine, broken down into steps.
Exactly. 3 strategic steps in this case. Step 1 was basically exploring possibilities with AI dependence.
AI dependence.
The policy here was, let's rely fully on generative AI. Just see what it can do. Go for the fastest possible prototype.
All right.
This involved using the AI's inherent knowledge, what we sometimes call zero-shot data creation, meaning, it generates responses or data without needing lots of specific examples for that exact task.
Right, using its general knowledge.
Yes. And allowing for free-form answers. Just prioritizing sheer speed over initial precision. Get something working fast.
And the data structure, how did that change?
The key change was that an applicant record now included a self-PR text field, where the applicant describes themselves, and a new many-to-many relationship was added between applicant and department, which the AI, powered by the taskbot, would figure out and then record in Redmine.
So the AI decides which departments should interview based on the self-PR.
That was the idea initially. The first prompts for the AI just contained information about what departments were looking for, the applicant details from Redmine, and basically asked it, okay, AI, decide the interview departments. Simple as that.
And how did that first attempt go?
Well, they were thrilled with the speed. Honestly, it worked. But then came the critical question. It was during evaluation, I think, from HR. They asked, okay, great, but why this department for this applicant? What's the logic here?
The why question.
Exactly. And suddenly that blazing speed hit a wall of uncertainty. The AI was doing the task, but its decision process was completely opaque. It was a classic black box.
Oof. Yeah, it's not good.
And this wasn't just some small bug, it was a fundamental trust issue. And this black box problem, it isn't just a hiccup in one project, it's a fundamental challenge in AI adoption generally today.
Right.
SM-POC basically forces you to confront it head on. It reveals that true trust in AI comes not just from its output, but from understanding its why. You need that transparency.
So that realization, that lack of transparency led to the next step.
It did. That led straight to step 2, visualizing the processing structure. The policy had to shift.
How so?
To eliminate that black box, they introduced aptitude categories. Predefined categories.
Okay, like labels for skills or traits.
Sort of, yes. And the AI's role was narrowed. Its job now was first to map the applicant's self-PR text to these predefined aptitude categories.
Got it. Step 1, categorize the applicant.
Right. Then, crucially, a separately defined mapping, like a set of rules, was used. A mapping between those aptitude categories and the relevant departments. This mapping lived outside the AI, maybe managed in Redmine.
Okay, so the AI suggests categories, but the rule connecting categories to departments is explicit and separate.
Exactly. And the AI was explicitly instructed to explain its department decision based on this specific mapping. Make it transparent.
How did the data structure change for that?
Well, aptitude category now became a key intermediary data point. You had many-to-many relationships connecting it to both applicant, which the AI determines via the taskbot and department, based on those external rules managed in Redmine.
Right, it links the two.
And the prompt, the instruction to the AI, was updated. It now explicitly told the AI select aptitude categories, then decide departments based on those categories according to the rules, and clearly state which departments correspond to which aptitude categories in your response.
Show your work, basically.
Pretty much.
And this is where we can sort of visualize that iterative feedback loop using the 3-piece set, really starting to pay off. You'd have like a dual screen setup.
Yep, yeah.
TaskBot on the left, that's your interface. Redmine on the right, managing the data.
That's a common setup.
You'd start by selecting the Scout Mail Creation SM-POC assistant in the TaskBot.
Right.
Then maybe ask for the applicant list. And it would just pull the data straight from Redmine into the chat.
Instantly. Shows up right there in the TaskBot interface.
Okay. And once the list appears, you'd pick one. Let's say applicant ID 2258, data analyst.
Okay, select that applicant.
And then the critical moment, the AI's output. It doesn't just give you the email draft.
No, crucially, it first provides an explanation of its decision.
Ah, the transparency piece.
Exactly. So, for example, it might say something like, based on the self-PR, this applicant fits the multi-talented flexible category corresponding to the engineering department, and also the organizational management category corresponding to the business planning department.
Okay, much clearer.
Then, the Scout email draft it generates seamlessly incorporates this. It might say, based on your skills, your interview will be conducted by personnel from the engineering department and business planning department.
Nice. And once you're happy with that in the TaskBot?
You confirm it, and it saves straight back into Redmine, updates the applicant's ticket status, logs the email, everything, automatically.
That rapid iteration, seeing the output instantly update in Redmine, that must be incredibly compelling for the stakeholders involved. Seeing it work transparently.
It really is. It builds confidence quickly. Which brings us logically to step 3. Considering external business rule implementation.
Okay.
This step stems from a crucial insight. Generative AI, these large language models, they are fundamentally probabilistic.
Meaning
They don't absolutely guarantee the exact same output for the exact same input every single time. There's an element of variability.
Right, which could be a problem for really strict business rules.
Precisely. And what's fascinating here is the realization through the POC process that for critical deterministic logic rules that must be applied the same way every time, you probably shouldn't always rely solely on generative AI.
Even if it can approximate the rule most of the time.
Right. For mission-critical consistency, you need something more solid. So the strategic solution here is to move that kind of definitive business logic outside the generative AI entirely.
How does that work?
It means integrating an external business rule component. This could be, a dedicated function, maybe a class in your code, or even a separate rules engine. The AI is then instructed to call this external component for those critical decisions.
And the TaskBot facilitates that call.
Yes, the TaskBot can orchestrate that, get the result, and then update Redmine accordingly. The AI might still handle the surrounding tasks like drafting text, but the core rule logic is externalized.
That's a really profound realization. That balancing act between AI's, let's say, creative freedom or pattern matching and the need for reliable, repeatable outcomes. That's essential. It raises a really important question for you listening. How do you or how might you balance that in your own systems?
It's a key strategic consideration.
And it's also worth noting, right, that implementing this external rule component, that probably adds some cost and time to the POC.
It can, yes. It requires development effort, so it becomes a key strategic decision within each SM-POC cycle. Is the need for absolute deterministic logic strong enough at this stage to warrant building out that external component? Or can we proceed with the AI handling it for now, accepting the probabilistic nature?
A trade-off to consider.
Always. So wrapping up that example, what's the typical outcome of an SM-POC cycle like that? In the Scout email case, the POC clearly clarified the benefit, right? Increased applicant interest due to those customized transparent emails. That was validated.
Good outcome.
But it also surfaced clear challenges. The need to actually standardize those aptitude categories internally. Get agreement from HR, from the departments. That takes work.
Sure, organizational alignment.
Exactly. And crucially, the prototyping confirmed that relying solely on generative AI for applying those aptitude categories, well, it was potentially problematic because of reproducibility issues for those critical assignments.
Okay, so given those findings, where did this SM-POC cycle lead the team next? What were the implications for their future steps? Did they scrap it?
No, not at all. The conclusion of this particular cycle was actually to continue doing POCs, but focusing on two key areas next.
Which were?
First, the detailed definition and getting that internal agreement on the aptitude categories. Nail those down.
Makes sense.
And second, implementing the department decision logic using non-generative AI means that external business rule component we discussed. Then, re-verifying the whole process with that change in place.
So refine and reinforce the weaker points identified in the cycle.
Exactly. Now, let's connect this back to the bigger picture. A single SM-POC cycle like this is just one piece of the puzzle, right, in the overall journey of AI system development.
Right. It's iterative.
But the strategic value of SM-POC remains consistently high, really, regardless of the immediate outcome of any single cycle. For example, you might get what amounts to a red light on the technology itself.
How so?
You might discover the AI is just too slow for the required task, or maybe too costly for the current use case. That insight, even though it stops that specific path, saves potentially huge future investment down the wrong road.
True. Valuable failure.
Or maybe you get a red light on the business idea itself. You realize through the POC that the initial idea needs significant rethinking, but you've still gained valuable knowledge about AI's capabilities and limitations in your context.
Learning again.
Sometimes you get a continuous green light. The iterative POC itself effectively becomes the development process. That's a perfectly valid, agile approach for some systems.
Build it piece by piece through POCs.
Right. Or a successful POC, like the later stages of the Scout Mail example, might build the confidence and provide the justification needed for a major capital investment in a full-scale system.
So it serves multiple strategic purposes.
Absolutely. The core value always lies in gaining those actionable insights and making informed decisions early in the process, regardless of whether the project immediately proceeds to full development or pivots.
Okay, let's zoom out one last time then and look at the broader implementation environment. Let's revisit that three-piece set, the AI, the task bot, the task management system that underpins this whole SM-POC approach. How flexible is that?
Oh, the flexibility is actually immense. So while the default generative AI in the examples might be, say, Azure OpenAI service, really any compatible large language model could potentially be used. You can swap that piece.
Okay.
The task bot too. While it's often a chatbot in these early POC stages because it's fast to set up, that can certainly evolve. As the project matures, it could become a more traditional user interface, maybe a web form or part of a larger application, but still backed by AI and connected to the task system.
So the interface can change.
Definitely. And the really crucial piece for broader integration is what we call the adapter group. These are the connectors. They link the task management system, like Redmine in our example, to any other external system.
Like what kind of system?
Could be anything. Your ERP system, your CRM, production management systems, dedicated external business rule engines like we discussed, other databases, you name it.
So Redmine or similar acts as the hub connected outwards.
Exactly. It becomes the central point for the process data managed by the POC. Now, many of these adapters are largely reusable, technically speaking, but, and this is important, each POC will likely require specific adjustments to those adapters.
Why that?
To address the unique problems and context of that specific POC. This ongoing adjustment for context, ensuring the integrations fit the specific task, that's key to making it all work smoothly.
Got it. Context alignment is critical.
Very much so.
So wrapping this up, what really stands out to you from this deep dive? We've explored how SM-POC offers this disciplined, iterative way to bring generative AI into the business, minimizing risk, maximizing learning.
I think the core takeaway, for me, is clear. It's about finding that balance. Leveraging AI's incredible creative and pattern-matching potential,
Right.
while simultaneously designing robust, transparent systems for those critical business rules where you need consistency and trust. It's not always one or the other.
Finding that sweet spot.
That balance is really key, I believe, to truly transforming operations with AI in a sustainable way.
That makes a lot of sense. So considering that need for both AI's exploratory power and deterministic rule implementation when required, here's a final thought for you listening. How might you rethink your own approach to evaluating and implementing new technologies, not just AI? This kind of methodical approach, this context alignment we touched on, could that be the key to your future success? Something to consider.